Hi, everybody. I hope everybody's doing well. My phone. Sorry about that. It was late. I tried to put the chat inside the window, and I don't see it coming up. Like I said, I'm learning all this new technology. It's supposed to be there, but it's not. You see this little thing over the window on the side? It's supposed to be there, but it's not showing up, so I don't quite know why. They said this is how you're supposed to do it. Well, it's not there because I really wanted to have the chat started to come up on the live. So welcome everybody. Did you not see that we hit 100 subscribers today? Oh my goodness, I was so happy, and it was so needed. Um, I really kind of had a rough day today. Um, my I was not I was having some fibromyalgia pain, and then I was also having some sciatic nerve pain, which the two of them together are not fun. So that was a bunch of fun today. So I was trying to deal with both of them. Unfortunately, um, I did not do well. So I don't know why. I don't know why that's like that. Why it's not wanting to put it. I tried. I'm trying to figure out. They said do this maneuver in order to put the chat in here. It's not working. But I certainly am giving it a whirl. But we got to 100 subscribers, which I thought was so cool. That made my day um despite my difficult day, but we all have them. It doesn't make it easy. Sometimes it makes it difficult, but we all get through it. Um, so we take one day at a time, don't we? Um, and we get through it, and that's why I'm on tonight. I debated on whether or not coming on tonight, but I thought, nope, I gotta come on tonight. I have to come on tonight. And I brought my crochet. Just gonna kind of yeah, it is. I don't know what I did to my back. I don't know what I did to my sciatic nerve, but it started this morning kind of. I can tell when it's going to do what it's going to do, and it just started doing it enough that I was like, okay, are we going to do it or not? But I'm on. But I'm going to. I said, like, they said, yeah, do this whole thing to get the chat box in your. Do y'all see it? No, I'm trying to sit here and figure it out. But how is everybody tonight? Is everybody doing well? I hope everybody's doing well and having a good day. And getting through. I forgot which was it, browser. Getting through today and having a good day. Because we all need those, and we need encouragement sometime in order to get through. If I freeze a little bit, understand I'm trying to see if I can get this to work while I'm on. I don't know if you have to do a fresh one, but I do tend to I think I'm liking OBS. Of course, I haven't been with StreamYard yet, but I think I am, but in some ways I'm like, okay, could it be just a little bit easier? I just don't understand why the chat's not working. Well, that didn't work. Oh, well, I don't know. There has to be a way to do it, but apparently the way that I looked on how to do it was not exactly how it was supposed to be done. So I'm going to have to, I think I'm going to have to come on one day and do a live and do it, I'm going to have to do a live without, I'm going to move, so I'm trying not to make everybody dizzy here. I'm going to do a live and come on and make it private, and then figure out how to put the chat box in. Because I really want to do that so that you guys can see that. Yes, Sandy, I agree. Arthritis can be, I don't have it yet. I've got enough other stuff. I have arthritis in my back, so I understand that. I'd like to tell you about a little famous girl we have here. Her name is Mocha. I may try to go get her in a minute and have her come on and show herself, because this girl, I started out with 54 subscribers today, okay? It has gone from 54 subscribers to 109. And I looked at the count of Mocha with that little video talking, with the little ears with Mocha talking about hi Mocha, and it has gotten 10,000 people that have watched it. It's gotten 500 likes and comments, and we've gotten 50 subscribers because of her. So she's like YouTube famous now. So I couldn't do it the other night. I wanted to bring her on, but I couldn't because she's a little bit of a wrecking ball. But I was like, they just kept growing today, and I'm like, okay, awesome. So give me a minute. I'm going to go get her. So I'm going to turn my mic off for a second, and I'm going to make a black screen, and then I will be right back. So hold on a second, and I will go get the munchkin. All right. Here comes the wrecking ball. Mocha, come. Come on, Mocha. Come on. Mocha, come on. No, come here. This is a dog that swears that she's a lap dog. You're going to come? You're going to come? Come here. No, come here. Come here. Come here. Are you going to be shy all of a sudden? Are you going to be shy? Come here, dog. This is a dog that likes to be a lap dog. Don't you? Don't you? Don't you? Say, I'm going to say hi. I'm going to say hi. Can't read comments right now. This is Mocha. This is a 50-pound lap dog. You going to say hi? You going to say hi to YouTube world, huh? They all love you. Good girls. You good girls. You good girls. That's the lap dog. That's the lap dog. She's sniffing. She'd be a great search and rescue dog. She's like, I've got to sniff all the walls. That's Mocha. Hold on a second, guys. Okay, that's Mocha. That is the YouTube famous Mocha. The one that I said, here comes the wrecking ball. That likes to sit on your lap. She likes to be a 50-pound lap dog, or thinks she is. But she is the cutest. So I don't have a cat in a basket, but I have a Mocha. So this dog has literally gotten, her YouTube video has gotten like 500, is it 500? Like 500 views and like, or 500 likes, and no, I can't remember at this point, but it's gotten 10,000 views. And I'm like, forget the crochet, forget me, put it on the dog. So I thought thought I would bring her on. I figured out how to live stream from my phone, because YouTube is a little confusing when they want to sit there and tell you, yeah, you have to have 50 subscribers to live stream. But you have to have 1,000. It's a little confusing, to say the least. And so, it says they want to say, yeah, you have to have 50, but then you have to have 1,000. And I'm like, okay, which is it? So I have a YouTube, like a streaming thing I can do on my phone. So then I can maybe start putting Mocha on out there, because it really is difficult here, but I can put her out there. But I thought I'd let people that came on tonight see this goofy butt of a dog. And I will tell her story. We're going to be doing, on Wednesday next week, on the 31st, we're going to be doing, what is it? What I've learned from the dogs we've either owned or fostered. And I think that I've learned something from each one of them. And I think that it's a really good thing to look at some of their roads, some of the roads they've had to go down. Some have been really good from the start and from the get-go, and some have been rough. And Mocha's was a rough one. But that dog's a happy dog. I mean, I can tell you, when you come home, and she's not mine, she's my daughter's dog. We're taking care of her. So she's kind of like my grandbaby dog, I guess you could call it. And she just wags that tail, and you're loved when she gets home. It's like she's like, she hasn't seen you. You're gone for an hour. It's like you've been gone for 3 days. So she is a hoot and a half. But she's a toughie, but she has a story. And so I thought I would do, as you can probably see in the thumbnail, and of course all of the dogs in the thumbnail are involved my daughter. She is a huge dog lover. And so I'm also going to have her on. I'm going to do kind of a baseline, a little bit of talking about, I think I'm having a little brain fog today, I can tell. Kind of, I know where I was going with it. Oh, service dogs. And talking about what is a service dog and what is an emotional support animal. My daughter is going to come on and talking about kind of her perspective of owning a service animal, because I know that I was in the chat recently with all the stuff that happened with that channel and so forth, growing up in Scientology, and talking about the whole incident with Aaron. And somebody in the chat was saying, well, I'm sure the people that certified the dog are not happy. Well, there's no such thing as a service dog certification. Most of the ones that you see on the internet are fake and scams, and they're not true. There's no registry for a service animal. So I thought it would be really cool to come from my perspective of a mother who had to raise the funds for a service animal, how my experience was, the things that I encountered, the rules and the laws and the differences between them. I can tell you on more than one occasion, I had people come up and say, oh, I just want to do what you're doing and take my dog everywhere. And I say, well, what's the disability? And they go, I don't have one. And I said, it's a crime, right? And they shut up real quick. But I had to be patient. I couldn't be Mama Bear. I had to be patient. But I'm telling you what, there were times, it took about everything for me not to, what we call in our house, my inner Lizzie. My great-grandmother was a tough cookie. So we'll sit there and say, don't bring out your inner Lizzie. I had to keep my inner Lizzie buried when those happened, because I wanted to educate people, not turn them off. So I think that's a good thing to come on and talk about, what service dogs are, the laws, what you're required to ask, how to interact with people that I'll have to look at Atypical Paul. I'll have to look at that one. Sandy. How to interact with them. What you should and what you should and shouldn't do if you're out with your niece or grandchildren or friends' children or whatever, and you see a service animal, take that opportunity to train them on how to interact with them, and say we need to ignore them. So I think that those are all topics that it would make a great live to do. From a mom who had that experience. And it was a life changer. And now I'm working to get my husband a dog, eventually down the road. So I really want to talk about that. And I told you all when I started this channel that I was going to get on when I were not having the greatest of days. So I'm not having the greatest of day. You can probably tell, but I'm putting a smile on my face. But I don't know what I did. I started going around the house this morning going, this isn't good. I did put a heating pad on my back, and I actually took a nap a little bit, and I laid on the side that wasn't hurting to see if I could kind of take the pressure off, and that did help a little bit. So we'll see. I'm hoping to go to church tomorrow, but if it'll all depend on whether I can sit for, sometimes sitting, at least I'm in a cushy chair right now, but sometimes sitting on something hard is difficult. So we'll see. All depend. When I'm going through something like this, I don't always plan my morning until I wake up and go, okay, can I deal with it? And usually what my night's going to be. How many people were on today on Captain Tommy's live? And I know that I know the question, he had so many questions flying tonight, but I know for myself, and he was talking about making your bed. I don't do that because that's a lot of times I crochet and watch movies, and my husband has a TV out in the living room. But how many people are a 4? I'm it. And I said to him tonight, I said, how do you get over, and I think that that's a great topic, how do you get over the guilt when I was kind of motivated to kind of straighten up my room. We moved into an apartment, and it's kind of it's like a, like one of those little 2-bedroom condo things kind of thing. When my daughter got married, and then we've decided to renew our lease, and we're not going to move again for a little bit. Yep, I was a 4, and I admitted it. I put it on the replay because I wasn't there. Did you see my hope mug made its appearance today? If you go back to his live, my hope mug that I sent him from Shawshank was on there. Anyway, I thought, I want to get up and I need to organize my room, because it's just kind of, it's not messy. There's not, paper wrappers around and stuff like that, but it needs to get decluttered. And so does the garage that we need to get decluttered. And the bed did not get made because that's where I had to spend most of my day between ice packs and heat. But that's good. If you can get up and you've got other places you can go beside the bed, that's great. But it's true. But I thought, I felt kind of guilty that it was I was kind of motivated to I need to straighten up a little bit and figure ways to make my space neater. But the guilt came in a little bit today, was but I can't, because I was there were times going from my bedroom to the kitchen where I thought, I'm not going to be able to even walk. If you've ever had sciatic nerve pain, I think I wish anything else in the world beside that. And I thought, I'm just, the pain's going to get so bad I can't put my leg down and take that next step. So I need to not push it. But how do you deal with the guilt that your body says no and you would like to do something? And that was something that I fought today, surprisingly enough. I was happy to sit there and crochet, but it was I he kind of got me pumped to go and, kind of straighten up. And my body just wouldn't allow me to. And I thought, how do you deal with that? How do you deal with, I don't know if it's necessarily guilt, but I sure felt it a little bit today. And I'll have to look over because I sure felt it today. So it's something to think about, and certainly do yep. Every day isn't like that. When you have arthritis, you have your good days and your bad days. Yeah, it's funny because they tell you with sciatic nerve pain, yeah, go out and walk. That's what that's what most doctors, when they sit there and say you have sciatic nerve pain, yeah, just go out and walk. And I'm like, have you ever had it? I think some of these doctors have never had it. And one of the questions I plan to ask God when I get to heaven is, why was the sciatic nerve muscle or nerve or whatever even designed? Because to me, it's a pain in the tail end. I will tell you what I did positive today. I don't know how many people around have a crumble cookie in their neighborhood. We, up until about a month ago, did not have a crumble cookie in our neighborhood. We had one that was actually in Columbus. So we had to get in the car and drive an hour to the nearest crumble cookie, which didn't happen very often. But I don't know how many people have a crumble cookie. And there were several crumble cookies today that I wanted to try, because they come out with new crumble cookies every week. And I thought, you know what? I'm not going out. My husband would have to go out. And I thought, you know what? I'm not going to get one. I don't need it. And so I made the decision that even though there was cool flavors, yes, it is a chain. And if you've never had crumble cookie, let me tell you, you need to have it. I'm not kidding you, Sandy. The cookies are this big. When we get crumble cookie, we often take a cookie and divide it in 4. And it takes us a while to do it. I never sit down and eat a whole crumble cookie. There's no way. They're huge. It's like $4.95 for one cookie. But if you realize that you divide it in 4, and it lasts a heck of a long time. But look them up. They're delicious. I'm not telling you, but I thought, the world is not going to end if I don't try the flavor. And I think they had cannoli was one of the flavors today. They normally have their chocolate chip, but they are delicious. Believe me, they are so good. Let me see something for a minute. Let's see. But I thought, I don't need the calories, so I didn't go, as much as I really wanted to try the cannoli one. I love cannolis. Today's flavors were the chocolate chip, the cinnamon square, the strawberry crumble cake, cannoli, cookies and cream, and the peanut butter one. I mean, they're huge. They're huge. But I decided I didn't eat it. Like, I don't know if y'all can see it. It's like that. I mean, they're huge. But if you haven't had crumble cookie, go get crumble cookie. And the only thing I can say is take it and divide it into 4s, and then sit and have it. But I thought, I don't need it. It is not going to do my waist any good. I don't need it. So guess what? I'm not going to have it. And I decided not to get it. Because if I start doing that, I guarantee you I'm going to feel the need to have a crumble cookie with every new flavor. So I thought, I'm not doing this. I don't need to do this. So I'm not doing it. So I thought, it's not happening. So how is everybody liking the... Yes, you have to go there. They're not cheap. But they are delicious. And then if you cut them in fours, at least then they last longer. What we did is my aunt had never had crumble cookie, the one that's going through chemo. And we sent her, we went to our church. I'm working with yarn. Occupational hazard. We went to, we took a card to our church and we had them put in, just even though they didn't know her, put in that they were praying for her and they were thinking of her during this time and everything. Our women's group did it. And then I put in a crumble cookie gift card so that she could go pick up a couple crumble cookies and enjoy them. There's a motorcycle outside. I can hear it. So that she could stop by. And I think that there's 3 minutes from where she's getting her chemo done. So she can go in and pick up a crumble cookie and enjoy it. So that's what I did. So if there's anybody that you know and you're trying to just make them, they're going through a tough time, that's a great gift card if they have a crumble cookie in their neighborhood. And you can actually have them cookies shipped. They are delicious. We got them for Christmas. We picked up crumble cookies and we brought them home, and we had key lime pie and we had crumble cookies. But yeah, it's a great thought. Who doesn't like a cookie? I mean, my dad was like, where's the cake? He was a cake kind of person. My dad, I'll tell you a story about my dad. My mom had Thanksgiving. We had Thanksgiving one year. And there was, by our house, there was a restaurant called The Clock. Now, I will not step into a Denny's because the last time I ate in a Denny's, I got sick. And I won't eat at a Denny's again. But there was a restaurant called The Clock. And he went in to, apparently my mother, out of all the pies that we had for Thanksgiving, we did not have pumpkin. And he said, I'll see you in a little bit. I'm going out. And I guess Clock was open for Thanksgiving. So my dad went, sat in Clock restaurant and had a thing of pumpkin pie. Because we didn't have pumpkin pie. And 2 hours later, he came back to the house. My mother had pumpkin pie from that point forward. But apparently, there wasn't any pumpkin pie. So he went out to the Clock restaurant and had pumpkin pie. I was like, that was so funny. Because he was bound and determined to have this pumpkin pie for Thanksgiving, and my mother didn't have it. So he was bound and determined to have it. He went out to Clock restaurant and he got his pumpkin pie for Thanksgiving. So my dad was a hoot. He was a tough cookie though. He taught me how to I'll tell you one thing about my dad. My dad was he was the hardest working man I've ever met. He taught me how to work hard. And I've worked hard my entire life till my body told me that I couldn't work. And I worked since I was 16, and he worked throughout his life till he got dementia. And that's another thing that we're going to talk about on here, because having a dad that had that was so hard to deal with. And so we're going to talk about it. And we're also going to talk about Elvis too, because I'm a huge Elvis fan. I ordered the coolest The coolest. Listen, I'm not into all the Stanley Cup cups. You know, the Stanley Cup things. I'm not all into that. I'm crocheting while I'm doing it. I'm working on my aunt's blanket. So while I'm talking to you, I'm trying to get this done. I started working on a hat for her today, so I'll show that eventually. I had to go down several hook sizes because I have to think of the fact that she may be wearing this hat eventually with no hair. So I use my head as an example because I have the thinnest hair you will ever find in anybody. And listen, I ain't putting makeup on to come on here. I'm coming. You're getting the real Mary. I'll tell you that right now. The real deal. Anyway, get back to what I'm a squirrel tonight. Where is the cat? Unfortunately, I can't have cats because my allergies will not allow them. And I really can't have long-haired dogs. I can have short-haired dogs like Mocha, but I can't have long-haired dogs. I ordered the coolest. Getting back to that, we're going to get back to the coolest mug. But you got to put it on the lighthouse beacons. I hope everybody is enjoying that group. And we're just going to continue to grow it. My favorite, and I showed my family, I showed my husband, he goes, I know it's not your birthday. My birthday's in June. He said, but you go on, and he said, you order that. He said, and we're just going to pretend like it's an early Mother's Day gift and an early birthday gift. Because he said, it won't be here when it's time. And he said, you go on and order it. Because he said, I want you to have it. But I'm not in, let's get to Target and get the biggest, the Stanley Cup. Hi, Samantha. The biggest Stanley Cup thing in the world. But my favorite jumpsuit of Elvis's was the Hawaii special with the eagle. That is my favorite jumpsuit that he ever wore, was that. And I have always kind of been looking for a mug or a tumbler that has that Pacific jumpsuit on it. And I've seen a couple here and there. Found the coolest one today. And I'm like, I have to order it. Do you not see that? Oh my, I'm going to show it when it comes in. I am going to show it. I'm like, can't wait to get it. Isn't that cool? Oh my gosh. I was like, I have to have it. I don't often say I have to have something, but that was a have to have. That was a have to have. I like I said, I'm not rushing to Target to get the Stanley mug, but man, I had to have that. That was so cool. It was like, I have not seen one yet that was ranking on that. But so you can see how far I've come for those that haven't seen it. For her lap blanket. Yes, I was heavily teased in school for being an Elvis Presley fan, and I'm like, sorry. I will not call him the king of rock and roll. That's about the only thing you will not see me do, because he didn't like that himself. He often told people there's only one king and I'm not it. So he didn't like it when he was called the king of rock and roll. So I don't tend to call him that. He was an amazing artist. And my dad and I had a tremendous connection. I'll tell you the story because it involves my dad. My dad served in the Navy for 28 years, 10 months, and 6 days. He knew exactly how many he served. He served in the Navy. He was first class petty officer. Yeah, his movies are good, but Elvis didn't like them. He didn't like a lot of them. There was a few he was proud of, but he made them because he was under contract, but he really wasn't the craziest about them. Today I watched Girls, just because I was looking for something to watch. And I watched Walk to Remember again, just because I was laying there thinking I got to get my mind off the pain. Anyway, we went to New Orleans, And oftentimes when he went to training duty, we could go to, we could, come along with him. And so we went to New Orleans, and they didn't have cell phones back then. Shows my age, right? And I was in the hotel lobby, and there had this little calculator thing that told you exactly how many miles it was to each town from where we were at. And I remember looking, going, Memphis is only 399 miles away. I'm never going to be closer to seeing Graceland. And so we picked my dad up from the Naval Reserve training duty, and we were going to the Superdome. Now, this was before that big hurricane, and I forgot what it was. I think it was Katrina. Was it Katrina that hit? And we went to the Superdome to do a tour of it. And I, went all around and kept doing it. My mom was like, you're going to have to ask your dad. And we picked him up, and I'm going all around talking about, Dad and this and this. And he finally just said to me, Mary, just come out with it. And so I came out with it. I said, Dad, we're only like 390. Can't we go to Graceland? Please, can't we go to Memphis? Well, inside his briefcase that he carried with him into Naval Reserve training duty were tickets to Graceland. They were going to surprise me and go take me to Memphis. Actually, they were going to give me an almanac or whatever it was that told, and give me hints all the way there until I figured out where I was going. But they had already planned to take me to Memphis. And we got to Memphis at night, and across the street, we were looking for Graceland. And we pull into where, now Memphis and Graceland area has changed so much. But we pulled in to where the parking lot was. And I remember looking across the street going, okay, where is it? Where is it? And I was very embarrassed the next day when I realized that it was actually across the street. And I should have known that. But I can tell you that it's one of my dreams to go there with my daughter one day, because I've told her. My son-in-law is not too a fan on Elvis, and my daughter likes him. But I want to take her there one day. It's the most, when you stand there and you realize it is the most peaceful place, one of the most peaceful places I've ever been to, and you sit there going, you understand why Elvis loved it. It's just beautiful. He had moved about 21 times. He had moved 21 times, and by the time he got to Graceland, he had moved 21 times. If that doesn't tell you how much he had moved from house to house to house to house to house. He had moved almost every year throughout his life. And by the time he got to Graceland, he goes, I ain't moving again. That's why. And it's a beautiful, beautiful place. Gorgeous. So my dad and I used to love sitting and watching his movies and his concerts. And I was a teenager, and it often, I can't imagine. I've moved several times in my life, but not 20 times within your first 21 years of life. You're moving. And when I was a kid, I didn't have a lot of friends, especially as a teenager. I'd come home, and I'd have a rough day at school, and I'd come home and put on this music, and I was in another world for a while. And so I did like the New Kids on the Block. I did meet Billy Ray Cyrus when he had the mullet, believe it or not. There was some kind of meet and greet, and I was able to be there. And I have a picture somewhere in my stuff where I have a picture of me meeting Billy Ray Cyrus with the mullet. And but I wasn't into like Michael Jackson and, I mean, let's see, I've moved. The times I remember moving, I guess I should say that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 10 times within my life, but not that many. Yeah, his daughters. Miley is certainly, she's got a name for herself, that's for sure. I haven't always agreed with everything that she's done, but my daughter was a huge Hannah Montana fan when it was the thing. But I really enjoyed his music. I connected with it in some way, and I actually, when I was a teenager, I joined an Elvis Presley fan club down in Florida. And the one lady that I met in there, her name was Gail. And she did not have any grandchildren. Her daughter was schizophrenic, and her son just didn't have any. So she became like an adopted grandmother to me. She became, when I had my daughter, she was my daughter's goddaughter. Called her Grandma Gail. And so I went to Graceland several times with her. So there's a lot of wonderful memories when I think of Elvis. I think of just so many wonderful, happy memories in my life, and I'm thankful I have them. My yarn dropped someplace, and I can't find it. But when I talk about my dad, there's a story that I will talk about, and it involves Elvis. But he could sit in his chair, and when I couldn't play sad songs, but I could play, fast ones, and he'd be in his wheelchair rocking and rolling to the songs, and humming right along with them, and even though he couldn't remember much, so anyway. But my daughter has her microphone, for those that don't know, so I hope to have her on. But I hope to figure out why I can't. I'm going to have to do a live and make it private so that nobody else can see it but me, to figure out how to get the chat window here, because I thought I got it, but apparently I didn't, because I was trying to get the chat window in here, and we'll figure it out. I'm going to, when we do the topics, all the dog one that I'm going to be doing, I'm going to try to put in all the pictures of all the dogs so that you can see them. They're cuties. We've had some cute ones. And everybody loves Mocha's ears. We call them radar ears. Everybody loves her ears. The dog is. I will tell you this. If you are somebody that loves staffies, but has never owned one, never make us. I think the biggest mistake when it comes to dogs like Mocha is that people that have never owned dogs get a staffy and get overwhelmed, and then they have no idea how to handle these dogs. If you are somebody that has never had a dog, then don't be the first dog you ever get is a staffy, because they will push every button you have. Gotta love them, and especially if they've been abused, boy, they take a lot of work to unprogram themselves, but they're the most forgiving dogs. And somebody made a comment on her video, and they said, oh, she was tilting her head and looking like she knew what she was saying. And I'm like, yeah, that's pretty common. That's the cutest part of a staffy, is she'll look at you and go like this, and then she'll look like this with the mirrors, and it's like, oh my goodness. I can be upset with whatever she does, and then she starts tilting her head, and my heart just melts. But I think the biggest mistake and why we have so many staffies in our shelters is because people get them because they're cute, and they're adorable. But either you have to do one of two things. You better have worked with a staffy before and worked with a bully breed, and it better not be your first dog, or you better get somebody in and trained that knows what they're doing so they can help you do it. And I think that's our biggest mistake. As we get dogs in shelters, and then we have people that never own these dogs, never owned a dog, and the first thing they get is a bully breed, and they have no idea how to deal with them. So, anyway, that's my not my rant, but that's my little educational part of my video. So anyway, but I think that that's something that we can be accountable for. Is the fours out there, people that are fours. So it's why this petition's here. So, because I don't want you seeing, not that my room is messy, it's just cluttered. It's a little cluttered, and I need to find ways to work on that. So I'm going to work on that, and I think going through and understanding how not to feel guilty when you can't do anything. I talked to my daughter about her coming on and just chit-chatting and talking about, mother-daughter relationships and so forth. Yep, it takes a lot of time to train them. But also having a mother that's had fibromyalgia. I think that that's a worthy discussion to have with her, because she's seen me change since I've had it. And she can't understand how I deal with it, but she can be sympathetic and loving and patient and understanding. And I think that that's a worthy discussion to have with her from the family perspective of it. Well, we're going to work on it together, aren't we? And let's try to put some encouragement within the Lighthouse Beacons. My other one that I'm really working on this year is getting more water in me, because I tend to get busy and then I go, oh, I haven't really had much to drink today. So that's another one. But I'll have my Elvis mug. I have another Elvis thing that I fill in. When I fill that one and I can see how much water, then I realize, oh, usually I finish at least one of those a day when I fill it, but I just don't fill it, and then that happens. If you don't train your dog, and that's one of the things, you don't train them, what you have when you have staffies or the bully breed is you have these dogs that just Christine, that's great, right? You were able to leave the room, got your kid to bed. Now, see, that's good. Got the kid to bed. Now it's time for mommy time, right? We see these cute dogs and they're staffies and they're wonderful, are the bully breed, and then you put them with first-time dog owners that have no idea what they're doing. They're totally different. They're wonderful. They've got a lot of energy, but they're stubborn. I mean, Mocha can put her stubborn streak in, and you have to stand there going, I don't think so, I'm in charge. They are one of the top for being nanny dogs, but then you see these parents that allow their child to climb over the dog and treat the dog as a jungle gym. We were in Cincinnati, and I was with my family, and they have people I was with. They have a beautiful, beautiful German Shepherd, and they're kids, and they had a stick in their hand, and they're just tapping the dog. I go, no, we're not doing that. But you see some of these, and it's like, there was one video I saw, and it was a bully breed, and this little kid came up and whacked the heck out of the dog, and the dog turned around like he was going to bite. I'm like, I don't blame you, but who's going to get blamed? It's going to get the bully breed's going to get blamed, not the kid. Or they play around with their food, or they scare them in the middle of a nap, or startle them, and there's the dog doesn't get any boundaries, and then you're not teaching the kid how to behave around a dog, and then I could be a huge soapbox for it, but I'm not. And I think that if we could get more prisons to have dog programs that can train some of these dogs, they do have some of them. They do have some prisons that do it. I think you'd have a lot of, some of these people that are in there for life. It'd be totally changed. There was an episode with pit bulls and parolees that showed a dog, or an episode where there was a dog program, and they said they had no problems, no fights, no nothing. They said they had inmates on waiting lists to get into this program. I thought we could empty shelters just in dogs, in programs that can rehabilitate. I think it really, rehabilitates the prisoner as well as the dog. So anyway, that's my soapbox. That's my soapbox. I'm not sure. I wasn't quite sure about the brown. Because that's why I changed the way I was doing the cake originally. And I went to the second cake and used it. Christine says, oh, the dog program at one I worked at. I worked at a women's prison for a year. It made a huge difference in those. Absolutely. I mean, we could empty shelters. Goodness gracious. We could empty shelters. Just by, getting dogs and rehabilitating them. What are you doing? You're softening some of these really, think what Tommy said about, he said that he saw the biggest, burliest guys with crochet hooks in their hand. By the way, this is the only crochet hook I use. It's the Susan Bates bamboo crochet hooks. But the biggest, burliest guys sitting there knitting and crocheting. Imagine what a dog can do to some of them. Amazing. It can be life-changing for some of these women and gentlemen. It's the best therapy in the world. And I can come from that and attest from that. When I could not comfort my daughter, a dog could do it. And that, it wasn't that it made me less of a mom. It didn't. It just is what she needed. And she now has gotten much older. And she will actually go seeking a hug. But there were times where I could not give her a hug or comfort her because she was overstimulated. But her dog could. And I couldn't take it as a slack on me. It wasn't anything to do with my mothering skills or my ability to mother her. It was what she could tolerate. So, So anyway, I'm a big, and now she's working with dogs. It's just awesome. It's awesome. I'm so proud of my kid. I'm so proud of her. She's awesome. I'm blessed. I thought, you know what? I'm going to sit here too because this is probably about as cushy as our church chairs are. And if it's starting to hurt now, it's not painful. It's just enough to be uncomfortable. I may not be able to tolerate the chairs at church tomorrow. I hate pain. Oh my, there's days I'm just like, okay, I'm over it. I'm done. I have cooked out. All right, I'm going to try to move this for a second so I can ask everybody's opinion. This is where are you? There it is. Okay. I'll get everybody's opinion. Yeah, that big wrecking ball that came in here and climbed and tried to be my lap dog. If I'm sitting in a certain chair in the living room, she will come up and actually put herself on that chair. If I'm on the couch, she will crawl into my lap, look over at the blanket like, can you wrap me up like a baby? That's the dog. And if I'm crocheting, and then after a while of her being on my lap, she'll go and snuggle up underneath the blanket. She's the one that I had to get the other cuddle dud wrap for because she wanted mine. She wasn't going to get it. All right. Everybody tell me. That's why I'm moving the mic for a minute. Okay. I started here. I'm trying to make this like 48 inches. It may be a little bit bigger. Okay. So anyway, you started with brown, and then you can see it's corner to corner that kind of purple or pink, then the brown stripes, now the blue. Now can you see that this first section of blue has a little bit of that brown in it? You see the brown layer? Then I had a strip of brown. Then I started with this lighter pink, and I didn't like it, so I started the second cake and I went to the blue. Okay, now you can see that this brown is very similar to this brown. Do you think it's going to look weird? Because I've got 10 rows total, okay, from the start of here to here, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there's 7 rows. Do you think it's going to look weird to have that brown and then do the ivory and then back to this brown in the middle of the blanket? Because then after I do another section of this part, right? Okay. I'm going to go and start with this pink, trying to kind of replicate like I did at the very beginning. I didn't know if it looked weird. I'm trying to make a lap blanket because she said that she's cold in chemo. She said my aunt does not wear pants, but she's having to wear pants, and she's in Florida. She's always hot. And so she's having to wear pants because she's getting cold in chemo. So I'm trying to see where a lap blanket would be. I didn't know if it looked weird, if it was like I put brown in there, but maybe because it's transitioning. Doesn't. Okay. I think I'm going to stop. Right, I'm going to start coming over then, because that's going to be fine to be a lap. Okay. Right. If anybody good. I like it too. If anybody is ever looking for a mindless crochet pattern, just go look up a corner to corner blanket. It looks weird because you realize it looks like a triangle, so you don't think it's ever going to be square. But what I'll end up doing, because I want it to be roughly about 48 to 50 inches, but I want it to be about 60 inches long. So what I'm going to do is now start working up. You can make it perfectly square if you wanted to make it 48 inches by 48 inches, because that's what it is. But if you're ever looking for 7, 8, if you're ever looking for a mindless crochet pattern that you could do, it's why I didn't do the hat, because it wasn't something that I could do on here and talk. But if you're ever looking for one of those that you can just come up really fast and do, and not think about, it is a C2C pattern. I will tell you what I did, and I never thought about doing this. It was actually on, I think I saw it on YouTube. Do you know those Chobani or one of those little yogurt? I have my yogurt every morning, those little cup things. You know, you could put those things in the freezer and get them frozen. Oh, I had one last night. It was like having ice cream. It was so good. I've got key lime and cherry in the freezer. I thought, oh my goodness, life-changing. So I thought, isn't that cool? You just take the containers and the Greek yogurts, Chobani things. I can't do anything with sucralose in it or like the 000 ones, because I don't want to if I have any kind of yeah, I know what. Oh my goodness. I never thought you could put them in the freezer. Oh my goodness, so cool. I They were a little icy, but still it made me feel like I was having ice cream. Something cold right before I went to bed. I can't have any of the 000 or anything like that, because it will give me a migraine from heck and high water. I can't do it. So I can't have any of the 000 or quos or anything like that. But the Chabanis have the ones, the Greek yogurt, and I get the vanilla. I like the key lime. I wish they come out with one in chocolate. Wouldn't that be good? Key lime and cherry, and I saw something, put them in the freezer, and I tried it, and it was so good. I thought, oh boy, I can see where the key lime is going. If you're a Florida person, you know key lime pie. Yep, it was delicious. It was delicious. If you're ever looking for a really good, inexpensive meal, go to the store, get Bob's Evans mashed potatoes, or Sam's Club has the best Maker Mark mashed potatoes. Get ground beef or turkey. I have to use ground turkey because my husband can't have ground beef. Ground turkey, and get some chicken broth. Brown your ground beef or ground turkey or ground chicken, one of the two. You could put all different kind of vegetables in it. You could put onions in it. You could put bacon in it. And then you brown that up, and you put some chicken broth in it, and let it just, simmer for maybe like 10 minutes or something like that. You want it to be a little saucy, right? And then you heat up the mashed potatoes, put the mashed potatoes in a bowl. You go ahead and put the meat mixture on the top, and you put peas. Now, our family likes pickled beets. So you can put pickled beets on it, or you cannot. It's called minced and mashed potatoes. It's a comfort food. It's a Scottish comfort food, but it's such an easy mealtime thing, is to make minced and mashed potatoes. It's awesome. You probably can find minced and mashed potatoes on the YouTube, but that's a really easy recipe. Just get a thing of pre-mashed potatoes and good channel for snacks. It's one of those meals that my mother used to do a lot, was minced and mashed potatoes. Yeah, kind of like shepherd's pie, but my husband can't have the corn. He doesn't like the peas either. But it's just a different version of shepherd's pie. It doesn't have the cheese on it. But you go look up minced and mashed potatoes. But for us, it's comfort food. Of course, for me, you put me anywhere near Greek food, and it's all comfort food. It's like when we have the Greek festival. Forget it. That's all my comfort food right there. Now you can see I'm making the turn. I was going up. Now I'm making the turn for the this way. So I'm squaring it off. I like easy meals. Another thing I've done recently is RHODES, and their breads. Oh my goodness gracious, they're so good. You get their frozen breads. They have them in Walmart. The frozen in the section with the breads, and I keep that bread in my refrigerator. And if I'm having soup, I take it out. And they have the rolls, and you can make pizza dough out of it. So good. Your house smells wonderful while it's cooking. I try not to have bread too much, but it makes for nice to have in the refrigerator for an easy bread. So we'll do this every every little bit. I think it'd be fun to not come on and have a discussion. I don't claim to be a doctor. I'm not. So anything that I talk about here when it comes to fibromyalgia, or anything, it's all stuff that I found out works for me, but may not necessarily work for somebody else. We had, every time I talk about cutting, Christine says, down on bread, my husband looks at me. I just kicked the puppy or something. He loves bread. I know. It's eat, try that bread. It's RHODES. Rhodes, frozen bread. You have to unthaw it and let it rise. The rolls are delicious. They're so good. It's awesome. I don't have experience with being addicted to drugs and alcohol. Food was for me. That was my addiction of choice. And I still struggle with that, but I try not to keep foods in my house that I know I'm going to go to if they're here. But I think that we have to realize that I think everything that somebody does, what works for me, may not necessarily work for you. But maybe a little piece of what I'm doing will work, and you need to tweak it to work for yourself. We had a going away party in Florida before we left to come and move to Cincinnati. And I had 5 people and individuals in the house. All were autistic. All were different. If you met one person with autism, you met one person with autism. And there was this little boy, probably 7 years old, from a school friend of mine that was there. And she came in and she said, yes, we just took him to the jump house, the trampoline place. And he did that on a Saturday for about an hour. And I'm like, oh, that would have never happened with my daughter. We would have come to the party and gone home for the day. No stop before, no stop after. That would have never happened. And where Christina would have run into the house, and if a dog had been there, she'd have been all over the dog the entire time. That little boy wanted nothing to do with the dog, even though Jordan was trained as an autism service animal. Didn't want anything to do with it. Until the last hour, right before he left, and he had been there for about an hour, he went over and got close enough to the dog and then actually just touched his nose for like 30 seconds. So I could tell her, and I know that having a service animal for this individual would be so beneficial, but unfortunately, he's afraid of dogs. So it's not going to work in the same way it worked for my daughter. Christine says, yes, my 4-year-old's brand of autism is he has to constantly move his body to regulate himself. He has 2 speeds, fast or off. I know the feeling. I can tell you, and I will go into it, as far as the life-changing that her dog was for her and our family. I can never, if you have a child with autism that loves dogs, I would strongly suggest don't run or don't walk, but run to some place that you can get an autism service dog and get it in service as quickly as you possibly can, because it is life-changing, not only for the child, but for the parent. I wish, the only regret I had is I didn't get one sooner for her. It was literally life-changing. She's where she is today because of that dog. I have a strong passion for service animals, and I have a strong passion to educate those who sit there and tell me that they want to take their dog everywhere. And I go, what's the disability? Oh, I don't have one. I'm like, okay. So you don't have any rights to be able to take this dog everywhere. But if your child does love dogs, start looking into it. That's all I can say. They will help. And they'll alert you most likely when the child is overwhelmed. Did for my daughter. Another thing that really helped my daughter was quest um, equestrian therapy with horses. He's very smart. She's asking if she can train her dog right now. He is very smart, but he's already 8 years old. I wouldn't recommend it at 8. It depends what dog it is, but I wouldn't recommend it at his age. They need a. You could, but it depends. There's a certain temperament that has to happen with a dog that needs to be a service animal. Like, I love Mocha, but and we have a vest for her that says emotional support dog, which she is for my husband and my daughter when she's here. But and the reason I do have it for her is because of her history and her past. So when we take her out in our community, I want people to come to her in our terms. I can tell what her temperament is and if she needs them to come and be more patient with her. So the only reason I have a vest with her that says, yeah, very high spirited. Yeah, I probably would say no. Just from what you just said. He makes sense. He's not his comfort zone. He's very high spirited and he's a terrier mix. I will put that vest on her so that when we're out, people are not petting her. They're coming up to her the way I want them to come up. And I'm reading her cues to tell me if she's comfortable or if she's not, or if she needs more space or not. I don't want kids just running up to her because of her past, and I'll explain that when we do the thing about the dogs. But I want to control it. I would never, and I was able to go online, and you can go online and get a vest that says it's a service animal, but it's not. I wouldn't go on to onto a website and get a service vest for that dog that says it's a service dog. She's not service dog material. She's not what I consider unflappable. You need to have a dog that is totally unflappable. Nothing bothers it. It's totally unflappable. And if you don't have a dog that can go into any situation and not be flappable and not bark and not be spooked, and they could go into a training program and literally fail halfway through it or almost towards the end. They have to go through a public access test. That is the only certificate that you will get, is something that says you passed a public access test. But anybody that sits here and says, oh yeah, I got a piece of paper that says it's a service dog and this is their registration number, it's about as worth it to go ahead and give it to your child and let them color all over it, because it doesn't mean diddly. I would also be very careful, and I will tell my story about that one too, is which agency that you go with. He is sweet, but that is not our dog at all. He is not aggressive at all, but he is quite flappable. Yeah, she's not aggressive. Mocha isn't aggressive. It's not a sense of being aggressive, but she's skittish. Because of her history, she's skittish. And so she won't bite you. She's not going to, but she's skittish. And she has a legit reason for being the way she is. But I want to control her environment so that when people are coming up to her, they're doing it my way. And I'm reading her cues to say, I'm really overwhelmed right now and this is just too much. So you have to have a dog that is literally unflappable. For instance, my daughter's service dog, we were at a concert and I literally had Jordan in the center of about, of course, people are all filtering back into the arena for the concert. And he's here with me. And there are all these people around him. And he's not doing anything. He just went by my lead with nothing. Mine is nervous around other dogs and very, very submissive and nervous. We adopted him from SPC and think his past we don't know about. Yep. If he's nervous, then he wouldn't make a good service animal. He wouldn't make one. You have to have one that's not nervous. You have to have one that's not flappable. You have to have one that's going to stay calm, and one that's going to stay on the floor for 2 hours while you're sitting at a dinner eating. We could go into a restaurant, put him underneath the table, and people that had come in after we came in that didn't know there was a dog would be so surprised when we would pull Jordan out from underneath the table and, oh, there's a dog under the table. So they have to lay there for 2 hours under the table being still and not speaking, not barking and doing anything. Well, everything is, clashing and dishes and all that kind of stuff. Because they're going into places like, hospitals and restaurants and all that kind of stuff. And they have people that want to come pet them when you have a sign on them that says, please don't pet them. And it's just, boy, I'll tell you what. And people were so, I had people that were annoyed when I would say, first of all, I made a rule for myself. Christina was in school she didn't need, she went to a very small school towards the last years of her life. And so she didn't have him at school. And I would take him sometimes out to Publix just for practice training because I was the handler for quite a while, or my husband was the handler or something like that. And I made a rule that if somebody said, can I pet him? Because we had a sign on his vest saying, please ask to pet. I made a rule that, I'm sorry, my daughter's not with us. This is her dog, and I cannot allow you to pet him. But I get parents that were angry or upset when they would say, oh, can we pet? And my daughter was there, and she goes, no, Mom, I can't tolerate it. And they go, and I was like, get over it. This is her dog. You don't like it, too bad. I mean, they would get upset at us because we said no, and my daughter couldn't handle it. It's like tough cookies. But you can still look in. Just be very, very cautious of which agency you go with. Unfortunately, a service animal, there are certified ones that are certified, and there's ones that will, be able to donate a dog depending on where you are. Yep. Christine says that's not weird that's weird for other people to be offended. Let them be upset. It's not their problem. Absolutely. But they were upset with me when I said, sorry, I can't pet it. My daughter would just look at me and go, Mom, I can't handle it right now. And they get so upset that we weren't allowing it to be petted. Or they would just come up and pet the dog without even asking. It was so rude. I was like, excuse me, he's working. And it was like they didn't care. Believe me. What was I saying? I can't think. Just be very careful which agencies you go. There are ones that will donate the dog. A service animal. My husband needs a diabetic service dog. And we're working to obtain that eventually. And if we go through an agency in Columbus, we can get it to donate. But unfortunately, that means trips back and forth from here to Columbus or here to Cincinnati over and over again. Multiple times. We can certainly, it's probably where we're going to end up going eventually. But the service animal, there's a place here that we could get a service dog, but they can go anywhere between $15,000 to $20,000. And I did it for my daughter. I'd gladly do it over again in a heartbeat. So just make sure if you're going through, and you can fundraise for it, especially if it's for a child. I think it's so much easier. I've tried fundraising for my husband's dog, and it's just kind of like they see a man in his 40s not understanding all of the benefits of a service animal and just think, well, I'm sorry, I don't have $20,000. And it doesn't happen very easily. But for a child, it would. And just make sure you're going through a reputable place. That's the only thing that I just make sure that you're going through a reputable place that will make sure that they're going to give you a service animal. The benefit to having, my husband to obtain a diabetic service dog, which for him is somewhat necessary because of how even though he has an Omnipod on him, which is his way his body gets the insulin, and he has a Dexcom to regulate, his Dexcom can sometimes be off. So a dog can detect 30 minutes prior to any machine that says your numbers are off. So if he wakes up and he's 70, his Dexcom says he's 70, but he's really 40, a dog can detect that a heck of a lot sooner. And sometimes his Dexcom doesn't go off right, and then he wakes up and realizes he's at 50 sugar, and his Dexcom didn't hit off. And so if I'm not home, which is rare, but if we're not together and I'm not home, there's even a special device that dog could press to let 911 know my husband's passed out and he needs medical treatment. So it can be very much life-saving. But the place I really want to get the dog from is right here in our back door, but it's about a $15,000 undertaking. I'm one of those bulldogs and I'm going to get it done, but it's an undertaking. But I can tell you one thing, I don't regret I don't regret a dime. I got my daughter I eventually got her on the news. That's how we were able to raise the funds. I don't regret one penny of that dog for her. It was Jordan for me became a lifesaver for me. He was my, you're not in this fight by yourself. And one of the best times was when he came home to live with us. One of the hardest times, and I knew it. One of the times I was dreading is when we had to say goodbye to him. And that was really hard for my daughter. That was really difficult when he left. But man, I just say, rest in peace, Jordan. A job well done. Boy, did he do a job well done. And I think every autistic kid that's not afraid of a dog should have a service dog. That's my take, because the one thing that I will ask a parent that has a special needs child or one with autism is, how are they sleeping? And 9 out of 10 will say terribly. Okay, if the child is not sleeping, neither is the parent. Okay? The only way I slept was, usually the only way my daughter slept was with me in the bed. And we would start off in her bed before I married Josh, and then she would come in my bed, crawl in my bed halfway through the night. So my question to every autistic parent is, how is your child sleeping? And they normally will say, terrible. They have done studies to say that an autistic child tends to sleep better with a warm body near them. So that's they sleep better with it. And we tried weighted blankets, we tried the TV, we tried me on an airbed next. Play until he passes out. He does better. Then I hear a lot of autistic kudos sleeping, but some nights are up and down. Yep. We tried a weighted blanket. We tried the TV. We tried the airbed next to my daughter. We tried everything. But I will tell you, once we got Jordan, now if your dog could sleep with your child, I don't know if he does, but he may be too old for that. But I can tell you, once we got Jordan in play and in service, and then he started sleeping with her, I finally knew what it was like to sleep. Because they've done studies to show that a dog tends to sleep better or an autistic individual sleeps better with a warm body next to them. I was that warm body for many, many years. And then when Jordan came into play, that was the difference. It made a huge difference. in her sleeping pattern. And it was huge. So I would see. All right, you'll be back shortly. I'm going to get off of here pretty soon. I was able to sit for about an hour and a half in a cushy chair, but I know I'm going to hurt once I get up. So I'm going to go pretty soon here. But you'll probably find out that if you do have a dog sleeping with them, dog's going to alert you if something's wrong too. Because I guarantee you're not sleeping. And here's another important thing, and then I'm going to put my crochet hook away here. Here's another important thing. I'm going to say this, and Christine, you can watch it on the replay. Find out in your town, there should be it's my pleasure to go live. We'll have to do it more just like this. I liked it tonight. I was unsure about it, if I'd be able to talk, not have dead air space. But look in your city and find out if you have respite care for you and your child, and have them come in the house and allow you to go take a nap. And I'm dead serious. We used to have respite care come in. I would never leave the house. Oftentimes I didn't. But it was so they could come in and watch my daughter for 2 hours, and I could go sleep. Because I guarantee you're not getting your rest or your sleep. So if you should check and find out if you have an agency within your city that provides respite care for your child, that they would come in the home and do respite care. Another thing we had was behavioral therapy that would come in the home. That was also life-changing. And I will talk about all that. I'm glad to see that there's another parent on here struggling. And let me tell you this, Christine, you've got me on Facebook, Beacon. Please, if you need someone to talk to that has been down that road, and I wish to goodness gracious that I'd had other mothers that I could have leaned on during very difficult times in my life. And I actually did lean on somebody. She didn't have a child, but she was an autistic. She was a special need teacher, like a peer person that peer help. And she was probably about the only one that understood what I was going through, because she had worked with these kids in the school. She was somebody, her name was Lori, that I could call and talk to. So if you need someone to talk to, you're in the Lighthouse Beacons, please message me on Facebook. If I'm not friends with you on Facebook under my personal profile, then please do. And please reach out to me if you need a mom to talk to. Because I don't know if you're where I am, but I know for me it was a very lonely road because nobody understood what I'm going through. And I'm not going to say I'm understanding what you're going through, because I'm sure things you're experiencing with your son are very different than the things I experienced with my daughter. However, there's that common thread that goes through. It may not be anything to do with knitting or crochet, but it's a common thread. We're dealing with those wonderful little individuals. And if I can help with things or just be there to listen, I will gladly do it. You're not alone at all. And I'm glad I can be a beacon for that. And that's exactly why I'm doing this. I'm coming out of my comfort zone, y'all. And I'm doing it. And I came on tonight to show you, even if you've had a rough day. And I've been in tears today, y'all. I tell you right now, I've been in tears on multiple occasions today. I've just sat there and cried. Because it's just somebody going. I just wish I know what I did. I don't know what I did. I could really not do anything, and my back decides to go, hey, I've done damage to my back enough. So it's just part of it. So I'm going to get off here, but please, I'm so excited, and it was probably I wanted to come on to see everybody tonight, but it was one of the reasons why I did come on, because I wanted to really celebrate the 100, thanks to that little wrecking ball in there. To our team mascot. We may have to make her a team mascot, Mocha. That little doggy in there. Let's see. Let's look real quick before I hop off here. My husband's been out in the living room and he'll want to go to bed soon here. All right. Let's see. She's gotten 10,000 views. That little video. And 578 likes. And 18 comments. Let's see if I can play it real quick. For those that don't know, that's what I'm like, not my crochet that got it. It was her. Let's see. The shorts. Let's see if I can play it real quick. I may not be able to play it. We're going to get it right now. For those that do not know, I mean, I had a lot of other content, but this is the one. That's the video that has gotten...
Hi, sweetheart. Hi, Mochas. Hi, Mochas. Hi, sweetheart. Hi, Mochas. Hi, Mochas. Hi, sweetheart. Hi, Mochas.
10,000 views. And that's what I think. I should have put that video on a heck of a lot sooner. Because that skyrocket. I mean, like I said, I started with 54 subs. And it grew like almost. We swore we were not going to have to do math on this channel, right? I'm going with what Tommy says. I'm not a math person. Let's see. In the past, since this morning, I've gotten 55 subs just from that video alone. So I'm going to have to put up more Mocha content, I guess. And now that I figured out how I can stream from here on my phone, I can go out there and put her on and not have to be here. So that's good. And now I've got to figure out, I will come on privately and do a private... make a live private so that I'm the only one that can see it. Not because I don't want you all to see it, but I want to try to figure out how to get the chat box in here so that you guys, because I'm not using, eventually I'll get to use StreamYard, but StreamYard after 20 hours does cost money. And I didn't want myself tied down to, only having 20 hours. I wanted to be able to come on when I wanted to come on and not be limited to that. So, when I went to go live, check on him, I'm lucky tonight he was asleep. You did a great thing. You did a stealther one, right? I want to put the chat in the window, but I've got to figure out how to do it. So I'll do a live. I'll do a private live so I can try to see if I can figure it out. Christine, it's no problem. I can tell you that raising my daughter was one of the most wonderful blessings I ever got in my life. And I'm so blessed, and I wouldn't change her for anything in the world. But I can tell you on the flip side, it was one of the most loneliest times in my life. Because friends that were my friends did not understand why I was so tired because I was working and I was taking care of my daughter and I was exhausted, and we didn't go certain places and do certain things because I didn't want to deal with a meltdown that was going to last 3 hours. And I've said to my daughter, I'm going to, I don't want to talk, it's her story, but at the same time, part of it's my story. And if it helps one parent understand how difficult it is and how we have to come beside them and things I found out and things I should have done, but I'm going to say it to every parent that has a special needs child. If you have a respite place, look up respite care. And if it's good enough for someone who's elderly, we had it from my dad, then they have it for children of special needs. Get it. And they come in the home. You don't have to go anywhere. Go take a 2-hour nap. I guarantee you it is not going to take long for you to fall asleep. And they would come in and say, well, you could go to the store. You could go to this. I said, I'm not. I'm going in my bedroom and I'm going to go take a 2-hour nap. And I crashed for 2 hours. Now, I didn't do it all the time, but I did it a lot of the time because you have to understand when you have a special needs child, you don't always call. It does take a lot of you. You don't always call your neighborhood kid to come over and watch. They're not going to totally understand all this. So you have to have people that come in. Have people that come in to do behavioral training. They will come in the home. It was life-saving for us because they were able to come in the home and work with my daughter and put a plan together that involved my daughter in her environment. They really got to know her really well. And some of those ladies are still connected with her today and are still there for support for her and have become dear friends and sisters to me. And one of them was her bridesmaid, her maid of honor for her wedding. So, you know what? They're there. Use the services and don't be ashamed of it. And if I can help Christine or anybody that is looking to, go down the path of, of trying to locate a good agency for a service animal, then I will be glad to do it. Because I will tell you my story of how we got ripped off by one. But that is another day and another time, and it's not tonight. But, I'm passionate about it because, I didn't ask to be a special needs mom, but it was a battle that I had to face, and I learned a lot. And if I can pass it on to somebody else, and I can be there to somebody else going, you know what, I'm having a really tough day. But don't ever lose hope. My daughter's married. I got to see her on a beautiful, beautiful bride. I never thought that was going to happen. My mom had it for her autistic sister, Sandy. Don't lose hope. I didn't think she was going to get married. I didn't think I was going to see her as a bride. I gave that up. I'm probably never going to be a grandma. Don't put those handcuffs on God because he was like, Mary, I got bigger plans than you ever can imagine for your daughter. So we got to reach for the stars for these kids. And we got to put every service that we possibly can in front of them to give them the best opportunity possible. And not everyone is going to go to college. My daughter wasn't college material, but man, she's got a way with dogs. I will have her on here on multiple occasions to talk about her, all the dogs and her perspective. We're going to go over them from my perspective. But I would sure love to have her perspective of each dog that we either owned or fostered, and have her perspective of loving those dogs and taking those dogs and what those dogs meant to her and what she learned from each one of them. So I'm not looking to get rich. I'm just looking to be a beacon. I'm following Tommy's lead. I feel my heart goes out to him for what he's going through and what he's doing. But if we on the lifeboat crew can come out and start, those that can and have the ability. I don't know if I necessarily have the ability. I hope I'm doing a good job. I'm not perfect. But I think I have a lot to talk about. I was kind of nervous about coming on the fly and thinking, are we going to have enough to talk about? But if we can come on where, you know, he's the start of it, and there's other channels that can start growing, and maybe if he can't come on or something, he can pivot to somebody else and say, listen, here's another channel to go to, which he's doing with, like, I Need a Meeting and some of the other places. Go to this, and there's more connection points. Then we're helping. He started the ripple effect in my way of looking at it. He started the ripple effect in helping people to connect with other people, whether it's just trying to get through the day. Now, he may not have had either one of his children be special needs children or dealing with autistic. He may have had it within the family, but he's not been a mom, we can guarantee you that one, dealing with an autistic child. I have. Oh, do I have stories? And I will be discreet so that I'm respecting my daughter's privacy, but I have stories. I know what it was like for me. It was really hard because I sat there angry and all I wanted to do was take it away. And I had to face doctors and schools and teachers and people that wanted to just sit there going, you know, it's your fault. It's the way you're raising her. It's the way you're doing it. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. And I will tell you this, and then I'm gonna get off here because I'm starting to become uncomfortable. I've been able to tolerate it up till about now. My daughter had a teacher, a principal, and they changed her medication, and it was like she wasn't taking any. And the principal that had looked at me, not in a mean way, but kind of thought I was the person that was the problem, it was my parenting, actually came up to me and said, Mary, I am so sorry. This was like first grade. I am so sorry. I really should have viewed this in a much different light, and I'm really sorry, you know, the way I looked at this. And we were able to get her on, you know, change up the medication. It made a huge difference and you know, much better. But he came to me and actually apologized to me because before we were sending her to school, and oftentimes you are sending these kids to school on medicine, the teachers are not seeing any problem, and then they come home, they're overwhelmed, they're overstimulated, you're going to sit them with homework, which I think it was torture. And now you're going to say, okay, now they're off medication. Their medication is wearing off. So now you get the child that was not experiencing these problems at home and going, oh, there's no way this sweet little child, there's no way, it has to be your parenting. He realized it wasn't. And he came and apologized to me and said, I'm really sorry. So you know what? We all have got to be here for support. But Christine, please, if you need someone to talk to, you can reach out to me, and I can't say I'm going to understand everything you're going through with your son, but we have a thread. We were put into a club that we did not bargain for. But man alive, it can be a wonderful club as long as you have that support. And if you don't, it's very lonely. And if I do nothing else in this world but come besides mothers that are dealing with special needs children and they don't feel lonely, I think I've done a pretty good job. So I'm going to get off here. So if you have, I didn't think I could do 2 hours, but we'll have to do this more. I enjoyed this tonight. And there will be times I'm going to come up here and say, I need help. I have no idea what to talk about tonight. If you're saying a prayer, please say a prayer that my sciatica just calms itself down, because I really don't It scares me. When my sciatica starts acting up, it scares me because it means that I'm a natural, Christine. It's scary because it means when I walk, I can put it's happening on my left side, and when I walk, I could walk one step and literally just fall because the pain is so intense, or I can't walk. I've had that where my husband's just, I mean, it's scary when you know that you're going to take that step and it could be the step. And I've kind of felt that all day where I'm like, am I going to take, this is going to be the step that's going to stop me from walking for the next 24 hours till it calms down. So, be praying that it just, we'll see where it goes. We'll see how I am. I'm not going to be on tomorrow. I've decided that. I will not be on Monday because that's my therapist session. I may come on Tuesday. We'll kind of see. But for sure, Wednesday will be the night that we'll talk about the dogs. And I will hopefully figure out how to put the chat in the window. I'll do a private live so that I'm the only one that can see it till I figure this whole thing out. And we'll go from there. So have a good night. Have a blessed, blessed Sunday. Spread the blessings, everybody. Be a beacon of light to everybody. Let's encourage everybody. There's the Lighthouse Beacons group. Please join that. Send people to. We're keeping it public for right now until I need to close it down privately. Send people to the YouTube channel. Let's keep growing it. And keep supporting it that way. And I think another thing that we can do too is, I think even if we can even send just a little card, maybe it's Tommy. He's got the address where you can send things, even if it's just a handwritten card, just to say we're behind you and we're thinking about you. I know sometimes that's maybe a really nice thing just to encourage him. He's got a lot of people thinking about him and praying for him. So that could be something really inexpensive that we can do, just to send him a little card saying you're not in this by yourself and your crew's behind you and we love you. And he's got that address where we can mail things to. So wouldn't it be amazing if he got a whole stack of cards that we could just tell him how many people are really pulling for him and we got his back. So just something to think of there. But I will talk to everybody later. Let's not put those handcuffs on God. That's what I'm going to leave you with today. Don't put those handcuffs on God. Let's let him, let's hand things over to him and have him walk us and show us and guide us where we're supposed to go, and lean on him and not restrict what he can do, because he can do amazing and wonderful things. But we have to make sure that it's in his will and what he is directing. It's his path, not ours. And sometimes we tend to say, God, I got this. And we really don't. And we need to let him have it. So it's not necessarily a Bible verse, but certainly saying, God, I should have never underestimated what you could do. So I love you all. I will see you next week for sure, unless I decide to pop on Tuesday. Spread those blessings and have a great night. Thanks for hanging with me. And we reached 100 subs, so it was time to party tonight. Have a great night, y'all. Goodbye. I think it's a good idea, too. Bye, Sandy. Bye, Christine. It was great to hang with y'all.